Hello, I'm Beth. Thank you for joining me for this mindful yoga practice. The theme of today's practice is going to be embrace the awkward. Sometimes things get awkward on our yoga mats. Things are often awkward in life too. So by embracing the awkward on our mats, we learn how to deal with the imbalances that face us in life. We learn that it is okay to be off balance, whether that's physically off balance or whether things knock us for a loop. Yoga can help give us the tools to rebalance. So we'll start right away. We're going to start in a hands and knees or tabletop position. I'll show you from the side and then I'm going to turn around to face front. So showing you from the side, our hands come right under the shoulders, knees right under the hips. You can see that my abdominals are engaged. My back is flat, although there's still the natural curves of the spine. And then we go between cat and cow or rounding and arching. So I round my spine up into a cat shape. And then I arch it, looking forward, tailbone up into cow. Repeating this series a few times. Now continue to flow. I'm going to come around and face you. So this is not so awkward to start with. We're simply warming up our spine. How we're going to make it a little more awkward is when we come forward into the cow shape, we're going to add a lion's breath. And lion's breath is sticking the tongue out, looking the eyes up toward the top of the head. So I'm going to do it on the next one. Rounding up into the cat. And then as you come forward to cow pose, breathe out with your tongue out. And yes, you make a big sound out. So breathe in as you flow up into cat. Come into the cow with the out breath, making a sound. A few more times. We're trying to release stale air from the body. And if I look silly, you look silly, it's all good. One more really mindful breath in as you round your body up into cat. And then exhale with the lion's breath. Wonderful. Then you can resume your tabletop position. I'm going to come around to side again. We'll do a pose called, it actually has awkward in the name. It's called awkward table. You might also know it as bird dog. We're going to do a little variation on that. So coming around to the side, we'll start by finding our stable position, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. This time we're going to take the knee, I'll take my knee closest to you, that's my left, you can choose whatever side you like, out to the side. So this is our hydrant pose, and this in and of itself can feel pretty awkward. Now if you feel balanced, and I'm going to scooch my left hand a little bit so it's more under my shoulder, then you can lift up the opposite hand to the knee. You see I'm floating my right hand off the ground, and maybe lift it out to the side, elbow out to the side. And then place it back down. We'll try it on the other side before coming back to the first side. So I'm going to flip around. Whatever that arm leg you did will flip to the other side. So opposite leg comes out to the side. Yes, this is a little awkward looking dog or puppy at a hydrant. It's great for the mobility of your hip though. And then you can float your opposite hand off the ground. Maybe you keep your fingertips touching. Maybe you lift it out so the elbow's bent, hand comes to the side. Your little bird dog variation or awkward table. All right, I'm going to stay facing you and we'll go back to the first side. So feel free to pause and rebalance anytime you need to in between. So coming back to the first side, lift your knee out to the side, taking that awkward position of the dog at the hydrant, holding for a moment, and then stretch the leg out straight to the side and float the foot down to the mat. Toes pointing either toward me or out to the side, wherever your leg feels most stable. And then start to walk the hands in so that you're upright on your bottom knee. If you need to add any more padding under your knee, feel free to do that. Maybe this leg scooches a little in front of your hip so that it feels stable out to the side. we're going to do a modified version of side plank. We'll be going away from the extended leg, so that's going to be this way for me. Start to look down. You want to place your hand right under your shoulder. So get a sense of where that is. If it looks super far, put a chair or a block or a book here so that it's a little bit easier for you to reach. Start to lean in that direction, reaching your hand, your fingertips, or maybe your whole hand down to touch the mat right under your shoulder. So you can see my hand is right under my shoulder for stability. Opposite arm can come to your hip. Maybe it stays down. You can reach it up or over as well. Now, as you're here, one more element. Stay right here if this is feeling super juicy, awkward for you enough already. Or maybe if the hand or the weight in the hand is comfortable, your other leg floats a little off the ground. And this is a half moon variation, a kneeling half moon. Completely optional. The foot can absolutely stay grounded the whole time. So wherever you are, foot up or down, take one more breath. And then use that extended leg to shift your weight back and up. And we'll switch to the second side. Back down to hands and knees first. Then the opposite leg comes out, staying for a moment in this position, feeling the effort of the side hip, the glutes, all those muscles on the side, and then stretching that leg out, placing it down, walk your hands in, come to upright. Remember, you can adjust the foot into a better position so we really feel stable. Even though we're doing this awkwardness, we do want to try to get some stability in our body first. That's part of the key to restabilizing and rebalancing ourselves when we feel awkward, is taking that moment to restabilize, to get a foundation. All right, same thing that we did on the other side. We're going to be reaching the hand down, look down to where you're going, shift your prop if you were using one there, start to reach so that the hand comes directly under your shoulder. Shift it closer to your body if needed. Reground on this side, finding a stable place. Add whatever arm variation helps you feel balanced and stable and open. All good things. And then if the weight in your bottom hand is comfortable, you can play around with whether there's any room to lift your foot. I think mine doesn't want to go as high on this side. That's completely okay. One more breath here. And then as you're ready, touch the foot down, shift the weight to that foot, help yourself up, draw the legs in. So from here, we'll come to standing, and I'm going to use my toes tucked to do that. I'm going to put my hands back down the mat, tuck my toes, and push myself back. Little kneeling crouch position. You don't have to come this way. You can just stand up, however is easiest for you. Once you get to standing, find a comfortable position, find a comfortable distance for your feet apart from each other. So it might be about hip width. I have mine right underneath my hip bones, these ASIS points. It might be a little wider for you. That might feel like a more stable. This is mountain pose. From this point of stability, we're going to go into another yoga pose that actually has chair in the name. It's called awkward chair. Usually the awkward part is dropped and we just call it chair, but that's the name, awkward chair. So place your fingertips in your front hip crease. We're going to deepen there as we send our hips, our butt to the back. Bending the knees, but not way over the toes, just enough to help us move the booty back. And maybe it's here. Chairs come in all kinds of shape and sizes, so your chair might be a higher level chair. You might have a big old armchair that's closer to the ground. Wherever you want to be for your chair, I guarantee wherever you are, it's probably feeling at least a tiny bit awkward, maybe grounded and balanced because we're in both feet, and yet in not really a direction we usually take our weight to in an everyday movement. So we'll play around a little bit more with weight. Stretch both your hands out to me. I'm going to mirror you for this one. So take a glance at your left thumb and start to open your left arm out to the left as you start twisting your body in that same direction. And you're really twisting from your belly button and above. Now you can keep your gaze on your thumb, you can keep your arm reaching out, or you can see how it feels to turn your thumb down, reach your hand away, and maybe it wraps around to the opposite waist, the opposite thigh. Maybe it kind of slips into your back pocket on the other side. If that doesn't feel good, keep the arm out. And we'll take one more breath here. And then we'll follow that hand back toward front. And I'm feeling pretty awkward, so I'm going to breathe in, push into the feet, stand up for a moment, and then we'll go ahead and do the other side. We can always take a moment to breathe, to regroup, to recenter. And then when we're ready on this side, we'll sink back into that chair pose. Sometimes the repetition helps increase the familiarity. That's part of what helps increase our comfort level in the pose. Arms to the front. So this time it'll be your right arm. Look at your right thumb. Start to open it up as you spiral from above your belly button around your rib cage to wherever this back arm goes. And you can keep it so your arms are kind of in an L shape. Maybe yours go a little wider. Or you can see how it feels to take this hand around this side and add a little bit of a shoulder stretch. Might not feel good with you. You can give it a shot. And as we're here, we'll hold for another breath or two. If you did have your arm tucked around, take it back out. Follow your thumb back around to center. Push into your feet and stand back up. All right, we're going to do one more thing standing, and then we'll be back to the floor. So I'll stay facing you. We're going to play with our balance a little bit more. For this, shift your balance to one foot. So maybe to your right foot if you're mirroring me. With your left, start touching it forward and back. Make sure you feel relatively stable on this foot until you can get a little bit of a swing into your foot without touching down. If you still touch down, that's completely fine. If you can take it a little bit of swing, take it a little swing. And then if you can add opposite arm and opposite leg, that makes it more awkward. I have to try not to look at my picture in the camera so I don't throw myself off. And if we get thrown off, that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to figure out how we go from this weirdness to rebalancing a few more times. And then next time your foot comes back, keep it back, toe down, heel up. Place your hands somewhere on the top of your front thigh. Keeping the weight in the front foot will actually start to hinge forward right at the top of the hip crease. And we're looking for a lift of our back leg, keeping that back leg long. Going up into some version of airplane or warrior three pose. Now you can keep your hand resting on this thigh. Your hands can reach toward the back leg. There goes my balance. Let's try one more time. And if you lose your balance, you come back up. You might reach your arms back out in airplane. This might help with the balance a little bit. And maybe reaching them toward me, sometimes reaching the arms further makes things more wobbly. You can try it. Find one more breath. And then lift yourself back up. Take a moment in center. So now you know what's coming on the other side. And remember, losing your balance is not wrong or bad. It's part of the process. It's part of feeling a little awkward. And yeah, I got through that awkwardness. How great. I have tools to help me get through the awkwardness. All right, other foot, stabilizing your left foot first. That's going to be your grounded, your rooted foot. Start taking your right a little forward, a little back. A simple tapping. You can keep it with the tapping the whole time. If you can get into a little bit of a swing, see if you can get a little bit of a swing. Sometimes one side is harder than the other. And then maybe you can add your arms and your legs moving in opposite directions. Maybe they're going to be moving a little bit all over. I think this side is a little bit less steady for me today. That's okay. Moving through it. Keeping it going. Looking for a rhythm. And then next time you go back, stay back, toes down. Just going to scooch forward a little bit. You can readjust yourself as well. The feet are still about hip width apart, so not too close together, not on a tightrope. Hands come to the hips or the top of the front thigh. As you begin that forward lean, your back stays long. So your back stays in kind of that tabletop shape, taking weight into the front foot, into the ball of the foot until the back leg starts to lift. And if your plane is in takeoff stage, you can stay in takeoff stage the whole time. You can do a little brief landing if you need to. Or you might explore what else there is to explore today. And that might mean a little bit of an up and down. That might mean readjusting the position of your foot to find a more solid ground space. Let's see if I have any more balance room on this side for today. Option to add any arm motion that you'd like. And then my body's telling me that's the limits of where I am on that side for today. Tomorrow could be different, but today I honor where I am for today. Find your mountain pose one last time, and then we'll come back down to the floor. Just give yourself a chance to ground, appreciate the floor, knowing that when we get unbalanced, ungrounded, we have the ability to feel our feet on the ground literally and figuratively as well to ground ourselves. All right, we're going to come down to the floor and we'll come into a side lying position. So you'll come lying on your side. You can prop yourself on an elbow to start. Knees are bent and straight down from your hips. So a couple of things for this position. This is a position that definitely feels really awkward to get into. I have the top hand is going to come to the front. The bottom arm is actually going to reach behind me, palm down. So I just want to explain that before I do it. Now, where the arm is positioned, whether it's straight out from the shoulder, up a little or down a little, is going to influence this stretch in my shoulder. Generally, the lower you have the body, more under your shoulder is going to lessen the stretch. A little bit more above it is going to increase the stretch. So you might start with it straight out from your shoulder and then adjust. So I'm going to put some weight into this front hand so I can scooch the back hand behind me, palm down, and then I'm going to bring my head, my shoulder all the way down. So you can't see my back palm. My back palm is down against the floor. The side of my cheek is on the floor. This top hand is supporting me. And my arm is pretty much straight out from my shoulder. I could adjust it a little bit. I'm going to keep it right here. With my legs, I'm going to open the top leg like a clamshell. And this leg is going to help turn my body a little bit in that direction. This leg and this front hand start to open my body, and maybe I even take this clamshell leg a little bit further behind me. So as my body twists, that puts a little bit of pressure into the shoulder. Pressure meaning enough of a stretch, but never to the point of pain or really discomfort or anything sharp. So putting a little bit of gentle pressure into my shoulder, giving me a nice stretch and feeling everything in front of my chest, across the collarbones open up. You can increase the stretch if you need more by pushing into this hand more, extending this leg out more, or even taking the top arm and reaching it somewhere toward the back. Some person might have their fingertips touch that person, not me. This is a very weird looking pose, a very adjustable one so that you get the stretch that you need. Let's stay here on this side for another breath. And then to come out of it, wherever you have the top arm position, put it in front of you, put a little weight into it to shift your body up. Whew, take a breath and then we'll shift around to the other side. Now, sides can be really different, especially in something in the shoulders. This side is my dominant side. I might find that this feels a little bit more sticky, is harder to get into, so I'm going to be careful going into it. Take my knees right into my hips, put a little weight onto my front hand, and then stretch that back arm directly out from my shoulder. And maybe I can adjust it a little bit higher. That feels okay. When you go higher, you probably won't be able to turn as much, so we'll see how much I turn on this side. Start to open up my top leg. Use my hand to push a little bit. And yeah, now not any turn because I'm really feeling that stretch in my shoulder. So this is a Goldilocks place for me. I don't need to go further as long as I can feel plenty of stretch. I could adjust it a little bit by lifting this arm and reaching it back because that's not going into any kind of unpleasant or really pinging or pinching sensation for me. It's just maybe getting a little bit out of my comfort zone, but in an area of stretch that is still really tolerable and general and not painful, sharp, or specific. That's always what we're looking for. And you notice we held this a little bit longer than some of the other poses. It's a little more targeted stretch. One more breath here. And then same as we did on the other side, take the hand down, slowly push into it to help your body come back up. We have one more awkward pose. This one is going to be done lying on our back, and it's happy baby pose. Now, if you've ever done Happy Baby, it's a little bit of a bottoms up pose. So I think you'll be able to see what the awkwardness of it is. We're going to go into it slowly. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The advantage of it is it can feel like a really nice stretch in the area of the hips and the glutes. And it can feel relaxing. So we'll come down on the back. Draw your knees in toward your chest and wide. So exactly where they are, doesn't matter. Just taking the knees so that they're open, taking the tops of the thighs somewhere toward your rib cage or your outer ribs. You're in a nice wide knee position. Now already you might be feeling a groin stretch. You might feel other things going on. In fact, this is kind of a place to stay. If this is like, wow, I'm kind of in an awkward bottoms up position as it is, and I'm getting a good stretch and I also feel comfortable, then you go ahead and stay right here. If you're ready to play with something a little different, you can take your hands holding anywhere, maybe to the outside of your thighs, or maybe right behind your knees. Keeping your knees bent and knees toward your shoulders, start to lift the feet only to the ceiling. So my knees stay bent, my feet come up. You can think of this kind of as an upside down squat or a double lunge. And you can absolutely do one leg at a time on this. Now this is another place you can stay. You can have the hands gently on the legs, encouraging the knees to come in closer. If you have the reach of your arms, and sometimes this really just depends on arm length, you can reach up for your toes with your peace fingers, so I can get a hold there, or you can reach for the outside of your feet. You really want to try to press the tailbone to the ground. I can feel mine coming up a little bit. That's not really ideal. I'm going to take a little less of a grip on my toes so that I can push my tailbone down more to the ground. That'll help keep your spine long and extended as you get the stretch in your hips. You can do this with a strap as well if your arms are not long enough for this reach. Everybody's arm and leg length varies, so whether or not you can reach your legs with your arms, we're not all in the baby phase, so we have to adjust as adults. Last thing, you can absolutely take your Happy Baby into a bit of a rock. Now, I find this pose isn't for everyone, but people who like this pose tend to really enjoy the relaxation that it brings with it, be able to release a little bit. And it's a nice way to end the practice. So you can end your practice right here. You can continue to take some movement into your Happy Baby. You can also straighten the legs and reach them right up. This wasn't a planned pose, but this is legs up the wall without the wall. So when we're doing it without the wall, again, a little bit of awkward aspect, but so comfortable to release the circulation in the other direction, release some of the weight on the feet and the legs that hold us all day. So you can stay in whatever version you like to rest. You can also stretch your legs out long. I'm going to come back up to finish. So I hope you enjoyed this practice. As always, my aim is to add a mindful aspect to what you're doing in your practice, to connect the mind and body, and to give you tools to take what you learn here on the mat with me off the mat and into your life. If you like this practice, please comment below and let me know. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll link to some other things up here that might be useful to you as well. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day.